I want you to fill them out. This, I promise, I won't sign you up for anything. This is actually just for me, for my personal information. This is the way that I want to be able to hold what I know about you.
Yeah. This is for David to send you forward you all these emails, and he thinks are really fun.
Everything my dad sends me, I'm the same.
It's part of our charm here. It's what we do. So get ready for that. Okay, my next step is to hand off to worship. So that's what I'm going to do. You're up, Patterson.
Would you stand with us? And, let's pray together. Heavenly Father, we remember this morning that, Lord, by the moving of your Spirit and by the words of your mouth, Lord, you have brought everything into being. And that includes us and every living thing. And Lord, you've reminded us, invited us, Lord, you've counseled us and you've taught us to see that because you are and because you're here, Lord, there's life. That things move and that we breathe and that we have, Lord, life itself because you are here and you're with us and you're the one through whom everything's been made and you're the one that sustains everything. And that, Lord, even as we stand here this morning together in this place, in this space, Lord, you're here. You're moving. Lord, you're bringing life. You're sustaining life. And Lord, I've been thinking this week, and Lord, we've been talking about how often we compartmentalize you. We get caught up, Lord, in our lives and our thoughts and our concerns, and we begin to think, Lord, that you're at a distance, that you're far away. That, Lord, maybe you're just kind of watching over, but somehow you're separated from us and where we are and what's going on. And we hope that you're mindful of us, but we wonder, Lord, if you're available, and we wonder if you're involved. And this morning, Lord, I pray that you would show us how close you really are and how available you really are. And that, Lord, as we ask for you to come and for you to fill us and to fill this place anew, for you to show us the doors that Jesus has opened for us to step out of the darkness and into the light, to step out of our selfishness and of our sin and step into your righteousness and into your promises and into your very presence. Lord, I just pray that you would show us the way anew this morning. Lord, we're here to be with you and with each other, and Lord, to have you speak and to have you move and to have you touch and change us, Lord, and to make us and remake us into the people that you've created us and that through Jesus you saved us to be. Lord, we're here to say we love you. There's nothing more that will ever come close. Nothing can compare where I am in you. There is no I've tasted and seen the sweetest of loves, when my heart becomes free, and the shame is undone. In your presence, Lord, Holy Spirit, you are welcome. Come flood this place and fill the atmosphere. Your glory is what our hearts long for, to be overcome by your presence, Lord. There's nothing worth more that will ever come close. Nothing can compare. You're unending. Your presence, Lord. I've tasted and seen of the sweetest of loves, and my heart becomes free, and the shame is undone. In your presence, Lord. Holy Spirit, you are welcome. Come flood this place and fill the atmosphere. Your glory, God, is what our hearts long for, to be overcome by your presence, Lord. Let us become more aware of your presence. Let us experience the glory of your goodness. Let us become more aware of your presence. Let us experience the glory of your goodness. Let us become more aware of your presence. Let us experience the glory of your goodness. Let us become more aware of your presence. Let us experience the glory of your goodness. Holy Spirit, you are welcome. Come flood this place and fill the atmosphere. Your glory, God, is what our hearts long for, to be overcome by your presence, Lord. There is a song across my soul. There is a breath that won't let me go. Dark is the stain that I cannot hide, but I see your arms, the love of the heart. I know just as I am. I know just as I am. Grace, grace, God's grace, grace that will water and cleanse within. Grace, grace, God's grace, grace that is greater than all sin. There is a day the pardon must be. There is a King who died in my place. Now I am alive, I am redeemed, out of the grave, forgiven and free. I go just as I am. I go just as I am. Grace, grace, God's grace, grace that will pardon and cleanse within. Grace, grace, God's grace, grace that is greater than all sin. Fix my eyes on the cross forever, and I put my heart in the love of my Savior, and all of my sin, and all of my shame is gone. Your grace is greater. I fix my eyes on the cross forever, and I put my heart in the love of my Savior, and all of my sin, and all of my shame is gone. Your grace is greater. Your grace is greater. I come just as I am. I come just as I am. Grace, grace, God's grace, grace that will pardon and cleanse within. Grace, grace, God's grace, grace that is greater than all sin. Grace, grace, God's grace, grace that will pardon and cleanse within. Grace, grace, God's grace, grace that is greater than all sin.
Scripture. This is our scripture today from John 4, starting in verse 4. Now we had to go through Samaria, so we came to a town in Samaria called Sychar, near the plot of ground of Jacob that had given to his son Joseph. Jacob's well was there, and Jesus, tired as he was from the journey, sat down by the well. He was about noon. When the Samaritan woman came to draw water, Jesus said to her, "Will you give me a drink?" His disciples had gone into town to buy food. The Samaritan woman said to him, "You are a Jew, and I am a Samaritan woman. How can you ask me for a drink?" For Jews do not associate with Samaritans. Jesus answered her, "If you knew the gift of God and who it is that asks you for a drink, you would have asked him, and he would have given you living water." "Sir," the woman said, "you have nothing to draw with, and the well is deep. Where can you get this living water? Are you greater than our father Jacob, who gave us the well and drank from it himself, as did also his sons and his livestock?" Jesus answered, "Everyone who drinks this water will be thirsty again. But whoever drinks the water I give them will never thirst. Indeed, the water I give them will become in them a spring of water welling up to eternal life." The woman said to him, "Sir, give me this water so that I won't get thirsty and have to keep coming here to draw water." He told her, "Go, call your husband and come back." "I have no husband," she replied. Jesus said to her, "You are right when you say you have no husband. The fact is, you have had 5 husbands, and the man you now have is not your husband. What you have just said is quite true. Sir, the woman said, I can see that you are a prophet. Our ancestors worshipped on this mountain, but you Jews claim that the place where we must worship is in Jerusalem. Woman, Jesus replied, believe me, a time is coming when you will worship the Father neither on this mountain nor in Jerusalem. Your Samaritans worship what you do not know. We worship what we do know, for salvation is from the Jews. Yet a time is coming and is now come when the true worshipers will worship the Father in the Spirit and in truth, for they are the kind of worshipers the Father seeks. God is Spirit, and his worshipers must worship in the Spirit and in truth. The woman said, I know that Messiah, called Christ, is coming. When he comes, he will explain everything to us. Then Jesus declared, I, the one speaking to you, am he. Just then his disciples returned, and they were surprised to find him talking with a woman. But no one asked, what do you want, or why are you talking with her? Then leaving her water jar, the woman went back to town and said to the people, come, see a man who told me everything I ever did. Could this be the Messiah? They came out of the town and made their way toward him. Meanwhile, the disciples urged him, Rabbi, eat something. But he said to them, I have food to eat that you know nothing about.
A Samaritan Jesus said, give me some water. The woman said, how can you drink this bed? Jesus replied, everyone who drinks this water will be thirsty again. Whoever drinks the water will be thirsty. The book of John, chapter 4.
They say your life could change in an instant. And mine did when a Jewish man asked me, Samaritan, for a drink. I have been drinking from the same well for more years than I can count. For me, change seemed impossible. I didn't want it. But the well always left me thirsty. So I came back to it over and over, and no one else could see me. I always came alone. Truth was, I had no husband. He told the truth. The real part of my life. The one I tried to hide. But he looked right through me and met me where I was. He wasn't ashamed of me. He wasn't angry. In my life, I thought I experienced love. I thought I was pretty good at finding it too. But I didn't even know what love was. On an ordinary day, I went to draw water and had a thirst quench I didn't even know I had. I don't know if they'll believe me, but I gotta try. I gotta tell them I found the Messiah. Rather, he found me.
You have a elementary school or a preschool that opened next door, this week. That'd be there for the rest of the service, for the rest of that weekend. I'm David, the pastor here with you guys. It's a busy weekend, at least in my neck of the woods. In Marietta, in Atlanta, a lot going on. I'm sure, looking out this week, I'm sure most of you will be Taylor Swift concert either Friday or Saturday. We're at the fun probably both nights, I'm guessing.
Now, I know you guys have been busy, I'm super busy in our family, so I just really appreciate you honoring us with, some of your time. Just a couple of things, just to follow up on one. This card, this really is for me. So one of our values here, if you don't know it, is that we believe God's people relate best as a family. And this just helps me keep connected to you in family ways. That's all that is. We're not gonna sign you up for anything, or I'm not gonna back you. Really, I'm just gonna find ways that I can celebrate you and encourage you. So if you fill that out, and you can put it on that table in the back when you read through it, that'd be great for me. And that's everybody again. If you filled out stuff for us in the past, somebody is trying to update some things, something it is, I would like a visual, to be able to see those things for myself. What other things do I have to tell you about? There are notes, there are little outlines in the back if you like to take notes, you can grab one of those if you want, and then we give you guys a chance to talk to each other and do stuff around. And the last thing is this is hard for me to say. I made a sticker. Lindsay called me and told me to make a sticker. So I made a sticker. So if you want a sticker that has the Highlands thing on it, you can get a sticker. Those are in the back as well. So one thing that anybody who gets to know me, one thing that my family would tell you, it's a big deal for me is honesty. I'm very pro honesty. I think the minute that we start to deceive each other, or we start to lie to each other, or we start to hide the truth, is the minute the relationship starts to break apart, right? And so, because I'm not really relating to you anymore if I don't know you and I'm not being honest with you. But there are a few areas where I am not pro honesty. I just want you guys to know there are a few areas where I struggle to value being pro honesty. I was thinking about some of these this week. So, like, for example, when somebody says, "Did you get that email?" I know what you mean. You know I got the email. You know the internet didn't shut down. Of course I got the email. Did you see the email? Did you read the email? I struggle to be honest. So here's what I want you to know. If you send me an email and I didn't reply to it, then I either didn't see it or I forgot about it. Most likely is that. But just resend it. Don't ask me if I saw the email, and you won't put me in a position to be a pastor who lies. So that's part third. That's part third on the second on the list is when somebody says to me, "Hey, did you hear about this?" Right? Because I've almost always heard about it. I've been a pastor for over 20 years. I've been in Marietta as a pastor for about 10 years. I've heard about everything. Everything you're going to tell me about somebody else, I've heard because somebody else wanted to tell me first. Right? I told Will will tell you this. Yeah, Will will tell you that I told him this. I'm like, you're never going to get away with anything in this town. Because, like, the only thing people like more in Marietta than hiding things about themselves is sharing things about other people. That's the only thing they like more. They love it. And so, you generally speaking, when somebody comes up to me and says, "Hey, I want to tell you something. Did you hear about this?" Sometimes I just say, "No, I have not heard. You didn't be the first person to tell me." But I've always heard about it. And then the number one thing for me is when I get asked, "Are you flossing regularly?" Something about the dentist office, right? I'm paying you. I don't know why. I never wanted to tell the truth, right? It's a big deal for me. Like, in my life, I'm a regular brusher. I've been blessed with tooth genetics that allowed me to not have to get braces, right? All those things. But like, whenever I get my teeth cleaned, like the carnage for this time down, right, would cause the hygienist and the dentist to always ask me, "Are you flossing regularly?" And I probably never fudged the truth more than in answering that question. And so, like, honestly, like about a year ago, my brother-in-law is my dentist, so you can see that creates a lot of tension. He knows I'm lying, he calls me out. But, so probably about a year ago, I was like, "Darn it, I'm done. I'm done lying to the dentist. I'm done. I'm going to start flossing." It's so difficult to start flossing. Right? Does anybody know what I mean? Does anybody else struggle with starting flossing? You all floss, you all, but yeah, no, okay. Me and everybody under 18. That's good. So yeah, like flossing. And the problem for me with flossing is that, like, I'm so tired by the end of the day. I've done so much. I just want to get to the bed. And so basically, what I have to tell myself to start flossing. So here you go. You struggle with flossing, you don't want to raise your hand because you struggle with honesty, right? Here's what I'm going to tell you I told myself. This is so stupid. Is I told myself this about a year ago. I said, just floss one tooth. Just floss one tooth. And so that's what I did. I was like, all right, just gonna floss my teeth. But then you're in there, you're like, oh, floss two, and the truth is, like, I was able to get it done. But it took me forever. Flossing is good for you. I'm gonna tell you something. Your teeth for life. You lose them, they're gone. Right? And flossing is good for me. But I hate to do it because I'm so tired. And so here's my question for you. Here's my starting question. This is your first time here. Just FYI, you haven't been in a while. We like you to talk to each other. Right? I'll talk about why in a few minutes, but we like you to talk to each other. So you have a few options. All right? Here are the options. I'm going to say, here's a question that I want you to talk about when you can sort of sit there, but you're not going to last long sitting there. Somebody's going to come talk to you. You can act like you have to go to the bathroom, or you can go get some coffee or some notes or something and you can avoid it, right? So those are your options. If you're an introvert, you're like, I don't want to talk, you've got a lot of outs, we're not going to bug you about it. But here's your first discussion question for the people around you. You ready? You got it? What's something good for you that you hate to do? And particularly because you're just so tired, you don't want to do it. What's something that's good for you that you hate to do? Go ahead. And I'll come back in a couple minutes and we'll jump into the show.
Mine's watching my face. I'm on the same thing. I get so tired. I just want to get it. That's why I have to watch it.
And that's gonna wake you up.
I know. It's like, it's cool.
Well, there you go.
You don't have to watch it. So you just went on and watched it. I remember it.
That's the cleansing agent.
Yes. I think it's because I like my spirit. They need to publish my
So I'm sure you guys have lots of answers, right? Because like one of the weirdest things about us as humans is that we avoid things that are good for us, right? Like we run away from things that are good for us. And the truth is, it's probably because we're like me. You go overwhelmed, you feel worn out, you feel tired, right? And a lot of times you end up avoiding things because of that, because there's something in us that says that avoiding that will make you less worn out, will make you less tired. If you avoid this solution for you, even if they're difficult, it always makes you more stressed, right? It always makes you more tired. It hardly ever, i.e. never, makes the situation that you're worried about, that you're stressed about, that's making you tired, better. Right? And one of the things that really stands out to me about this passage, John 4, this is a passage, you guys, if you've been at Highlands any amount of time, you probably heard me preach on this passage half a dozen times. Easy. This is my second time this year in this passage. We did it in January, if you don't remember. But one of the things that really stands out to me about this passage, or lately has stood out to me about this passage, is the types of things that Jesus is talking about in terms of Jesus is tired in this passage. It's a big deal, right? We don't think about that. It says he is tired, so he sat down. Can I get an amen? Right? Like, that is what's going on with him. He is tired. Jesus is hungry. His disciples go to town to get food for him and bring him food back because he's hungry. And Jesus spends a lot of time
with this woman talking about being thirsty and being thirsty and thirsty and thirsty again and continuing to go to places to satisfy your thirst that ultimately are never satisfied. So I was thinking about tired, hungry, thirsty, right? In need, exhausted, anxious, wanting rest, wanting final satisfaction. And how oftentimes we end up avoiding the things and staying away from the things that will actually give us that, that will actually give us rest, that will actually give us satisfaction, that will actually take care of the cravings that we really have in our life. And we think that avoiding them is helping us, and it's hurting us. But what's interesting is the reason Jesus talks so much about water in this passage, right, is because it's a great example, because it's hot, it's the middle of the day, and people have to walk a long way to get to this water. They were thirsty by the time they got there. This woman was thirsty by the time she got there, right? And water is one of the top needs for survival. And what Jesus is saying to this woman is he's saying, I have something for you that is as necessary to your soul as water is to your body. Your soul craves rest, satisfaction, a feeling that won't run dry. And I'm the only one who has it. And you can look at all these other places and you can hide yourself and you can try to stay away and you can try to avoid the difficult things. But the gospel constantly says to us, and this is something that we miss a ton of time, is that the way we will find rest, nourishment, and relief will actually be from the places we don't want to go, the people we don't want to talk to, and the secrets we don't want to reveal. Right, so we're going to jump into those things and see how Jesus expresses those things to us. And the thing that I would say to you is, what are you tired of? And what are you thirsty for? Like really, in your soul. You have to come here today. There are a lot of options. And we're not the kind of church that's going to guilt you for not coming. But you're here for something. Right? And what is it? And are you missing it? Because there's places you don't want to go. There's people you don't want to engage. And there's secrets you don't want to reveal. So let's talk about the places we don't want to go. Right, this is, if you don't know this, if you don't know the background of this, Jesus is going to Samaria with his disciples, and what's interesting to me about this passage is he had to go to Samaria. This had been sort of imperative for Jesus. He had to go there. You did not go through Samaria if you were a Jew. You don't know this. There was a lot of tension between Samaritans and Jews. Their ancestors had killed each other in a lot of battles. Beyond that, you were Jewish. You thought Samaritans were unclean. And if someone was unclean or something was unclean, if you came into contact with the unclean person or thing or anything they would come into contact with, you were unclean. And for a devout religious Jew to be unclean meant you couldn't be in the presence of God. You couldn't go into the temple. And so Jews avoided Samaritans because of that. There was a hatred, there was a fear that they made them unclean. And so Jewish people would never go to Samaria. Jesus' disciples would have felt that tension. And it's probably why they were like, we're going to keep meeting. We know you want to sit down, but we don't want to sit anywhere in this gross place. We're just going to go get some food so we can get out of here and move on. Right? And you think about the well for this woman. You know, you see in this story, like what's going on with this woman. She's obviously been shamed. Right? The reason that a woman would come to a well in the middle of the day would be to avoid people. The reason this woman would come to a well in the middle of the day would be to avoid people who were talking about her. Right? And it's not the only place that people like to share what's going on in everybody else's life. It's pretty universal. Right? And so this woman, just like Jesus was taking his disciples to a place they didn't want to go, this woman was going to a place that she didn't want to go. And they all knew that going to this well, that going to this area was going to make their lives much more complicated than they were ready for or wanted to deal with, especially in the middle of the day when they were tired, they were hungry, and they were thirsty. And in the middle of all of that, what we hear about Jesus, what we hear about the God that is embodied in Jesus is he had to go there. He had to go there. He had to go to this most difficult place. He had to go to this place of tension, this place of shame, this place of rejection, this place of uncleanness. Right? The world says stay away from all those things. The world says stay away from difficult places. Run and hide. Make yourself anonymous. Right? Don't look up. Don't make eye contact. It's my wife tells me every time we're driving down the road, somebody cuts me off. Right? Stay low. Don't go there. It's only going to complicate your life. Don't go to these difficult places. But here's the thing, like legalistic religion, the church says the same thing. It says don't go to places that are difficult. Leave those places behind. Those people are weird. Don't be a part of that. I remember our early ministry life, we lived in Valdosta, Georgia. And you don't know what Valdosta is. It's about 15 miles north of the Florida border, almost in the middle of the state. You pass through if you're driving down to Disney World. That's how you go. And so I remember I went to Valdosta and I had some students who were in a band, right? Because everybody in college is in a band. I worked at Valdosta State University, and these guys were in a band, and they were playing in a bar. And I was like, cool, I'm going to go to the bar. And I went to the bar. And I went to the bar, and I sat, and I watched these guys play, and I drank a Coca-Cola. And enjoyed it, had fun. The next day, I got a call from somebody. I got a call from another campus minister who lived in Valdosta. And he said, you need to sit down and talk. I was okay. We went, we sat down and talked, and he said, you can't go to bars. I said, what? I feel like I just did it. And he said, people can't see you anymore. I said, well, I don't know if they see you anymore. And he said, well, they don't know what you're doing anymore. I said, well, I know what I'm doing anymore. And he said, yeah, but they might think you're doing something you're not supposed to do in a bar. And you guys can guess how long I listened to that. And I said, thank you for your time, and I walked away. You know, that sounds crazy to me, but maybe it doesn't to you. Maybe that's not the experience you have. But I would say it doesn't matter in terms of as soon as religion becomes legalistic and not relational, it's saying that about someone. It's saying it about someone. Right? The world says stay away from difficult places. Legalistic religion says stay away from difficult places. But the gospel says you're supposed to go where everybody else is giving up. Because that is where you find what your soul really thirsts for. That is where you will find rest. You will find rest in the places where everybody else has given up. You will find what your soul is truly longing for when you go to the places where everybody else has given up, because that's the place where Jesus is. Right? Remember this story, Jesus tells his disciples, he says at the end of the time, everybody's going to be separated, and you're going to look at him, he's going to look at people, and he's going to say, you know, when I was sick, you visited me, when I was in prison, you came and saw me, when I was naked, you clothed me, and he said, they'll look at me and they'll say, Lord, when did we do those things? And he's going to say, every time you did it for me, every time you did it for the least of these, you did it for me. Prisons, hospitals, right, the destitute, the places that make your life difficult are the places you're going to find Jesus. Second question for you guys. Where do you see a need that everybody else is giving up on? Where do you see a need that everybody else is giving up on? Where do you see a need that the people around you would say, oh my gosh, that is a waste of your time? Or where do you see a need that you're afraid to go to and you would say that's a waste of my time? Does that make sense? Right? There is a place. And if you don't have a place, I'll give you one. All right? I promise I know 3 or 4, and I can tell you after the service. So you're on shop. Where do you sense a need where everybody else is giving up? Go ahead. You got a couple minutes to talk to each other about that.
Not my time, I did my time here. I was just going to set it up.
It's a little bit about it's kind of I'm gonna give you guys about 45 more seconds to wrap this one up because I think it's a good one to talk about. Hopefully it's a good testimony. All right. So just so I told you guys I was going to tell you a little bit about why we spend time talking to each other at Highland. So one of our values is that discipleship is relational. So we think the best way to grow is through talking and listening to people and God about people and God. And so we kind of force the room, a little bit of a greenhouse effect here in the church. And so I hope that there's an iron that sharpens iron moment for you, maybe in just saying, like, these are the places I see. These are the places I see us. I'm speaking it out and hopefully creating a little bit of accountability. Because what we want for you and what we believe here that Jesus offers in a way that no one else does is abundant life. And that includes rest for your soul. And it includes a well that will never run dry. And it includes food that we couldn't have imagined the satisfaction of. And I think that part of how we engage that is going to the places that we don't want to go. But it's also engaging with the people that we don't want to talk to. right, which is really difficult for us. And that is all over this passage, by the way. You can see it in the tension between Jesus and this woman, right? But he is a Jew and she's a Samaritan. They don't talk to each other. They don't engage with each other. We've talked about that. He's a man and she's a woman. And she's not just any woman. She is a woman that does not have a great reputation in her town. Right? He is religious and she is irreligious. Right? They're natural enemies. In so many ways, they are natural enemies in that culture. Right? But that's what faith is supposed to do. It takes natural enemies and turns them into family. And you won't experience that part of the Christian faith until you're willing to engage people that you don't want to engage. And that's shocking and it's difficult. And this is probably the most difficult thing that I'm going to talk about. All of these things are difficult, but this is a heavy one. This might be the most difficult thing for you. I would say this is pricking at your heart, that it is shocking to engage enemy. It is tiring to engage somebody who thinks differently than you, who acts differently than you, who looks differently than you, who spends their money differently than you. Right? And usually when you try to engage someone who is not like you, both parties end up being judgmental, rude, sarcastic. You would call them stupid for what they say or how they're behaving. Right? And guarded. Not vulnerable. Exactly how this woman interacts with Jesus at the well. Right? And because of that, because of all those things, because of how it feels to engage someone who is our natural enemy, we avoid them for the same reason Jews avoided Samaritans. We think we're better than them. I know we wouldn't say it, but we do. We think there's a religious ladder, and we think we're a few rungs higher up than them, and they don't deserve to talk to us. If they're going to think that way, if they're going to vote that way, if they're going to look that way, if they're going to spend their money that way, then they don't deserve my time. And I want you to know, when I wrote this out, I'm not talking about individual abuse situations. If somebody is emotionally abusive, if somebody is physically abusive to you, obviously you need to step away and distance yourself from that person. What I'm talking about is in a general sense, people that are just difficult for you because they are different than you. Now, here's a question nobody wants to answer in church, and that's part of the problem. Okay? So answer this one today. Who's your natural enemy? Who's your natural enemy? You're like, oh, I don't know. What if I want to talk about this? Because what if the person I'm about to talk to is my natural enemy? Right? But this is part of the problem, right? Like we sanitize church. Our religious legalism says we can't disagree about anything. Right? My assumption is that if you're in here today, either you or the person that dragged you here is intimately interested in Jesus. And I want to tell you that's all we need to have time today. To be fair. So please don't be afraid. Please engage this question a little bit. Be honest. Who's your natural enemy that you need to start recognizing as your family? And that's a nice way to say it. Go ahead.
Second part.
It's the last question. Sure. We got a little bit more rest to go. There should be no last question. All right. I want us to take a second, right? Like engaging exhausting the other things. Like my wife would be here today. She would tell you that the most exhausted I am is when I've had to have a conversation with somebody who I've been through with. Like that I am tortured. And so I get that. So the question is, like, how can that be where our soul finds rest? And what I really want us to look at, we don't have the time today. Like, you could spend weeks and months and maybe years examining just Jesus's interactions with this woman that lead him at the end of this, where he started tired and hungry, when his disciples come back and he say, man, I'm good. But, right, with his natural enemy. We don't think about Jesus as having natural enemies, but the truth is we're all Jesus' natural enemy. But as a Jew, this woman was his enemy. As a rabbi, this irreligious person was his enemy. Right? And Jesus was a person. Jesus got tired. But look at how he finds life in the way that he engages his enemy. Jesus is meek. He is meek with this man. What's the first thing he does? How does he engage her initially? He just says, hey, can I have some money? He asks her for help. He's humble. Right? He's patient with her. Again, if you look at this interaction, she's coming guns a-blazing. She's not happy to be talked to. She's not happy somebody was at the well. She's especially not happy that some man trying to tell her that she was sinning. He's patient with her. He continually comes back to the truth. He's honest with her. Jesus is vulnerable with her. What we see at the end of this passage is this is the first recording we have of Jesus telling someone he's the Messiah. This is this. He doesn't tell Nicodemus, the great religious leader, just a chapter earlier. He doesn't tell all the priests when he's in the temple. He doesn't use a wedding to announce himself. Just a beat up, scared, rejected Samaritan woman in the middle of the day at a well. She's the one that Jesus would fall over. The truth is, we combat uncomfortable people with our own versions of hiding and anger and sarcasm and distracting and theological arguments. That Jesus embraces uncomfortable, difficult people with humility, higher truth, and an invitation to come into community. And when you and I start to do the same with the difficult people in our lives, we will find the rest of our souls where He is. We will find the rest of our souls where He is. God will agree. So finally, and I think fully, and I think this is probably maybe the underlying issue for most of us, we will find rest and nourishment for our souls when we feel free to share the secrets we don't want to reveal. When we feel free to share the secrets we don't want to reveal. I told you guys you could study these verses and how Jesus interacts for a very long time. The process of how Jesus offers the gospel to this woman, right, has so many nuances. I mean, broadly, 10 to 15 is just Jesus talking and trying to communicate the good news of the gospel. And this woman struggling to understand it. At best, she sees it as a way that she can hide herself more from other people. And that's when you see this weird change with Jesus. Right? She's like, give me this water so I don't have to come back to the well. Right? She says that to Jesus. She says, give me the water so I don't have to come back. Why would she not want to come back? Because she's like, I'm tired of talking to people like you. I want to hide. And then Jesus does something that seems really rude. Right? He says, go call your husband. Early mansplaining. Right? I was afraid to use that word today, but then I just think, like, what the heck? Go call your husband. And she does what I do at the dentist office. She kind of offers a half truth, right? I don't have a husband. Hoping that it will shift the conversation. And then Jesus seems like he's being really rude. Right? He says, yeah, you're right. No, I'm a husband. At 5. Now you're looking at somebody who's not your husband. And that just seems really mean to somebody who's already heard it, if we're honest. But here's what's going on. It's mean if we think Jesus is just changing the subject, but he's not changing the subject. Right? This woman says, can I get this water? And basically, Jesus is saying there's something you got to dig up first if you're going to get to this water. Right? Where's this living water? It's blocked up. It's blocked up by this thing in your life, this other well in your life that you keep going back to and thinking it's going to satisfy you. And it's blocked up by how that well has left you so dry. That thing that you thought you could hide, or that you thought you could hide in, is keeping you in the greatest news of your life. The good news is only good news, right? That's what gospel means. The good news is only good news if we realize that there's also bad news. Does that make sense? And it's not until we're willing to realize that there's bad news. The stuff we want to hide, the stuff we don't want to talk about, the reasons we don't come to church, right? Which is insane to me. Right? That stuff has to come out. Jesus says. She hears it as condemnation. Right? She hears this as condemnation. She hears him say these words. And so what does she do? She wants to change the subject. Right? She moves it to theology, which is a good way to get out of having to be personal. That's why I get into a theological order. It won't got it. We've done. Right? Now, how do you go? Well, doesn't Jesus say? Right? She tries to change the subject really quickly. She tries to change it to the point of saying, well, you say worship here, we say worship here, I'm not allowed to be in either of those places. And so basically what she's saying here is, it's impossible to know what God means. It's impossible to understand what God is trying to say. Right? Even in Jesus' answer, Jesus answers her and he says this big, broad thing about what real worship is. He's trying to answer a question. And she's like, listen, I can understand this stuff. Someday there'll probably be somebody who's coming. We'll call him the Messiah who will teach us this stuff. But it's impossible. It's impossible. Put off, put off, put off, put off. Hide. Until Jesus says, no, it's not impossible to know God. It's not impossible to be connected to God. Not even for you. Because guess what? Right here. and sit with you the whole time. It's not impossible to make that. You're sitting with him. You are sitting with him. And he knows everything about you. And he's still sitting with you. And something changes in this woman. It's insane. Something changes in this woman where this woman who avoided everybody, to avoid having to talk about the things that she had done in her life, what's the next thing she does? She runs and tells everybody, come meet the person who told me everything that I ever did in my life. Her shame becomes her glory. You want a short definition for revival? When your shame becomes your glory. Because you realize it's not a religious life. Right? It is showing up and sitting with him. And it doesn't matter how many times you hear about the theology of it if you don't experience the person who is it. The answers of God are wholly universal, but they're also deeply personal. And if you don't get personal with God, if you don't reveal the secrets you want to hide with God, you won't get answers. You won't get rest. If you secretly in the back of your mind think, God, if anybody ever found out blank about me, gotta make sure I hide, gotta make sure David doesn't know, gotta make sure nobody at church knows, because what would they think? If you're doing that, you'll never find rest for your soul. You can sing all the songs you want to sing, you can talk about Jesus is the only way, you can get baptized, you can pray, you can walk down an altar, you can do all the things. But if you don't get personal enough with God that you aren't scared of your secrets being revealed, I'm not saying you shout it out to everybody. Everybody's been on a first date or somebody overshared. That is not what I'm saying. But when your purpose is to hide those things, even more than it is to experience the glory of God, you will never find rest for your soul. You will never find rest for your soul. When you're hiding your shame about what's going on with your family, when you're hiding your shame about what's going on with you and your spouse, when you're hiding your shame about what's going on with you in your personal life, or your work life, or any of those things, you're never going to find rest for your soul. You think that if you can just keep those things hidden, that you will be able to relax. You'll never be able to relax until you're free to share the secrets you don't want to reveal. Because you sat with Jesus. And he said, I'm not going anywhere. I know them all. And I'm not going anywhere. If I said to all of you right now, I'm sorry, I'm harping on this, I'm trying to wrap up. If I said to all of you right now, I know this. This ain't my first rodeo. If I said to all of you right now, you know God already knows all the worst things you've done. You would say, uh-huh. But if you sat with him, and let him talk to you about it, and let him tell you everything he thinks about it, and everything he feels about it, and everything he thinks about you, and everything he feels about you, because if you haven't, you're never going to find rest. Right? You're never going to find it until you give yourself fully to the one who came to embrace you fully. The reason our souls are tired is because we're fighting God. We're fighting to be our own God. We're fighting to be our own God. We're fighting to say, I'm not going there. I'm not doing that. I'm not talking about that. But God is saying, that is not what this relationship is. That is not how this is going to work. Stop fighting. Start saying yes to going, even to the places you don't want to go. Start saying yes to engaging, even with people that feel like your natural enemies. And start saying yes to being free to reveal even the things that you are most afraid of people finding out. And if you're not there, you can get there by sitting with me. You can get there by sitting with me. That's what we're going to do. We got 2 songs. Perfect. We're going to do 2 songs today. We usually do one on the response, but we're going to do 2 because for the first one, I want you to just sit. Just sit with him. Just sit with him and talk to him about it. Just sit with him and talk to him about the people that you're like, I'm so done with those people. The places that you're like, please,
I don't want to go there. It's too hopeless. Or something uncomfortable about the stuff in your life. You're like, I'm scared to death if you really find out my God. Talk with me. Sit with me. Right? What am I hiding? What am I avoiding? And for some of you, like maybe you're in a place right now where you're really experiencing that. And you're like, yeah, no, I've done it, I've sat. I feel so overwhelmed by the goodness of this God that I'm willing. And so my question to you would be this, is to ask God this. Am I in a going season or a bringing season? So if I'm already sitting with you, Lord, if I'm already satisfied with you, Lord, well, then the next question is this. I'm either Jesus in this story. I'm in a going season. I need to start going. I need to start going. I need to start going to the difficult places, the places everybody's else giving up on, and I need to start carrying the gospel to those places. Or, if you're like, I'm not doing it. I don't have time, I don't have whatever. That's fine. Hopefully we'll all get through the going season. But if you're not in a going season, you're in a bringing season. And that's what the woman did. You're the woman in this story. You just need to start bringing people to places where Jesus is. Okay? We play trivia every Tuesday night. And people ask me, do you go play trivia every Tuesday night? And I say, yes. My wife asked me, are you going to go play trivia every Tuesday night? And I say, yes. You know why I don't play trivia? I like trivia. I don't like it that much. I go play trivia because I believe we need more bringing spaces. I go play trivia because I can invite people to trivia who don't want to come to church. Because I think we need more bringing spaces. I would love to invite those people to church as well. I would love to be invited to church. Kind of helps you get one step closer to actually having deep and meaningful conversation. But are we bringing people somewhere where they can begin to meet with a God who knows everything about them already? So you're going season or going season. So we're going to spend one song, and I just want you to sit with the Lord, wrestle with those questions, and then we'll finish with the worship song. If you need prayer about any of these things, I'm going to be in the back, and I will be happy to pray. Good. Got it? Your grace and this river, your love and avalanche. There in my darkness, all over to the ground. That's where your mercy found. That's when your love came down. You turned my morning into dancing. You turned my sorrow into praise. You give me beautiful ashes, beautiful ashes. You give me beautiful ashes, beautiful ashes. Love met me in the rains of all my past mistakes. Love walked me to the river. Love broke the darkness chains. Love spoke a new tomorrow. Opened my eyes to see. Love washed away the sadness. Love came and rescued me. You turned my mourning into dancing. You turned my sorrow into praise.
Oh, make everything thank you, Lord. I know the way by and grateful. Make everything oh, thank you, Lord, for all you've done yet to do. Oh, make everything precious, precious. Give me precious, precious. Give me precious, precious. Give me precious, precious. Just stand with us. Good. There's nothing good in you. You are love. This way for all to see. You are light. You are light. In the darkness fortress, you are hope. You are hope. You have covered all my sin. You are peace, and my fear is crippling. You are true, even in my wandering. You are joy, the reason that I see. You are life, in the death that's lost its sleep. I'm running to your arms. I'm running to your arms. The riches of your love will always be enough. Nothing compares to your real grace. Light of the world, forever reign. You are more than my words will ever say. You are Lord, all creation will proclaim. You are here, in your presence I made whole. You are God, of all else I'm letting go. I'm running to your arms. I'm running to your arms. The riches of your love will always be enough. Nothing compares to your real grace. I love the world forever reign. My heart will sing no other name. Jesus, Jesus. My heart will sing no other name. Jesus, Jesus. My heart will sing no other name. Jesus, Jesus. My heart will sing no Jesus, Jesus. I'm running to your arms, I'm running to your arms. The riches of your love have always been enough. Nothing compares to your embrace. I overflow. Jesus came to give you rest for your soul. Right? They came to give life abundant and rest for your souls. I think it's weird to think that both of those things go hand in hand. They do. They do in Jesus. And you can find that. And so just receive this prayer. Lord, I pray that we would be people who trust you enough to go to difficult places with difficult people and talk about difficult things. And I know we're tired. But God, if you change our minds, if you change our vision to see where our real rest is going to come from, that we not be part of also transforming the world and be a kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven. We love you. Thank you for the day. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you guys for being here. We'll see you later on.
We got no points. Come and take care of it.
Doing great.
That's why we never let you say.
You did
That's why you, that's why the block groups are required. Because they have to connect do That'll be it. It'll be
Trying to figure out where you're doing.
Might do it here.
I tried to